Hello, my name is Daniel Stalder with the Iowa Communications Alliance, bringing you a Week 8 legislative update. This update is going to be a little bit unique because this is known as Funnel Week. Funnel Week is a procedural deadline in the Capitol in which a bill must have passed through the committee in a chamber of origination in order to remain eligible. This necessarily narrows down the number of bills that we work on in the Capitol. And so you'll hear a lot about that this update. A lot of times you'll hear something like this bill is dead for the year, something like this bill is no longer active or this bill is being funneled. All of those mean the same thing, that a bill is no longer subject to the rules and procedures of the legislature because it failed to gain enough support in time for the first legislative funnel. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this. Anything that is subject to a Ways and Means committee, anything that is within an Appropriations committee, and a few others, but those are the biggest exceptions, are not subject to funnel. So we will work on those bills throughout session, regardless of the procedural deadlines. Now, there were a few bills that I want to make sure I mention that have updates through the funnel, specifically House Study Bill 104. This is our next generation 911 bill. This bill actually failed to pass subcommittee, and the designation it received was tabled until a future meeting. That meant that they were able to give it a second subcommittee and pass it through committee in time for the funnel, but that did not occur. And so, at the close of the Public Safety Committee today, NG 911 is going to be put to bed for the year, of course. Other bills that we're watching very closely, House File 551 is the Broadband Speed Accountability Act. This is the bill that would have required ISPs to track on an hourly basis actual speeds within a customer's home and then provide a prorated discount based on when those speeds dip below the maximum advertised price. This bill was similarly not called up to the Economic Development and Technology Committee today, and so it has been effectively funneled. Also in our Economic Development and Technology committee, House Study Bill 185. This is the bill that would have granted an REC the ability to alter electric easements for the purposes of deploying broadband. This bill, while it did garner a decent amount of conversation and support at subcommittee, was not brought up to the committee level, and so it has been effectively funneled for the year. Now, I did mention that there are exceptions to the legislative funnels, and the big one, of course, is Ways and Means bills. And that is great because House Study Bill 235 is our sales tax exemption for central office equipment, which ICA is supportive of. This bill did pass subcommittee, but has not passed committee. But since it is in the Ways and Means Committee, we're not worried about these legislative deadlines at this time. So House Study Bill 235, central office sales tax equipment, has passed subcommittee, but again, not subject to the funnel that is important for today. There's another bill on the agenda in Senate Local Government Committee. Senate Study Bill 1115 deals with the ability or permissions for a city to create and dispose of utilities. We are registered in opposition to this bill, but currently that bill has an amendment that we believe is going to narrow it outside of the scope of outside the scope of telecommunications utilities. And so we're going to be watching Senate Study Bill 1115 very closely over in the Senate Local Government Committee. This is going to be a very big change in the dynamic in the Capitol after funnel. A lot of things are sort of getting through the first few hurdles. They oftentimes say we're going to keep the conversation alive, and this is where those conversations really take place. A bill, in order to pass the second legislative funnel, must cross over into the chamber that it did not originate from. So House files must pass to a Senate committee, and a Senate file must pass through a House committee. And so we oftentimes see the dynamics of the Capitol really take shape here after the first funnel as legislators and lobbyists who have worked exclusively in one chamber start to work in the other chamber. Other legislative news that everyone should be aware of is it is rumored that a property tax bill will be introduced before the end of the week. This is relatively early in the session for a property tax bill to drop. In fact, I've lost at least one bet so far based on how early this bill is being released. Additionally, a very large proposal took up much of the time last week in which the legislature altered the Iowa Civil Rights Code. This bill was passed both chambers into the governor's desk in less than a week, and that consumed a lot of the oxygen for the week before funnel. This means that a lot of conversations that usually take place this week were actually put on hold, and so we're eagerly waiting the state supplemental aid formula as well as a couple property tax bills that were put on hold for that week. So follow along in future weeks. We hope that you will reach out if you have any questions. If everything goes right with my video editing, my email should be on the screen below me. But of course, we look forward to hearing from you. Email me questions anytime. Thank you very much.